Chris Skelzer here with
Matt Howell.
And on this episode, what did you hear that? That's right, Matt is back. I didn't fire him. I thought about it. I mean, anybody who is willing to desert me for a week for his own fancies to do, I'm not sure what he's, some kind of crocheting class or maybe a CPR thing where you're climbing a mountain. No, you know what? Nobody cares. Matt's back. That's all that really matters. And in this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss Zombieland Double Tap, the long-awaited sequel to the original film. Was it worth the wait? We're also going to discuss the latest episode of Creepshow. Well, for us, it's only episode 2. I know you cool kids are at least a week ahead of us, at least. And then our car chase movie marathon continues with Spielberg's directorial debut, Duel. And I swear to you that I will at no point make a joke involving, hey, I can't wait to see what the Spielberg character does next. Because I honor you that way. Now, I can't say the same for Matt. And then finally, it'll be the return of What Are the Odds? Our odds-making segment where we assign maybe 50% of that happening, 20% of that happening, and then we never follow up to see if it actually occurred. But let's go ahead and start everything off on this super special 473rd edition of The First Run with a clip from Zombieland Double Tap.
What the hell was that? He must have followed you.
Oh, God, those are T-800s. Or at the very least, T-700s.
There actually was no T-700.
Yeah, T-800's the first model.
This is great, having two of you.
Okay, time to nut up or shut up. That sings very 2009. Okay, we got this. Ho! You don't send a boy to do a man's job. We brought him here. We'll take care of it. Yeah, you know what? Have at him.
Hasta la vista, baby. Terminator 2. Remember? Woo! Ready, buddy?
He's so cool.
Woo! Suck these bullets! Come on! Get you some!
Anybody else find those two uniquely annoying?
Uniquely? No.
Well, I don't love their chances.
Yeah, and they ignored Rule 52. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
And of course, I always ask for help. That's how Matt ended up on this show. Matt, why don't you tell the fine folks at home, what is Zombieland Double Tap all about?
Sure. It's a few years after the original Zombieland. Our 4 main characters, the principals from the first film, Tallahassee, Columbus, Wichita, and Little Rock, are still together. They shack up in the White House, and everything is going fine until the girls, they decide to dip out for various reasons. Wichita comes back, but Little Rock doesn't, and they go off to try and find her.
So let me ask you, it's been 10 years. Was it worth the wait?
I would say yes. A qualified yes, I think. I enjoyed the film, but I don't think it really... It's not as enjoyable as the first one was. It's not as much of a surprise. In fact, it's really a lot of more of the same. And even a lot of the jokes are callbacks to the first film. And if you're not really intimately familiar with the first film, a lot of those jokes may not land or may not have much impact. But I actually watched the first one like a couple hours before I went and saw this film. So everything was extremely fresh when I watched it. So I was like, oh yeah, that's a reference. Yeah, I get that. I understood that reference. It's good, and I had a good time, and it was enjoyable. But I don't know if it's great.
Okay. It felt to me, Matt, like putting on a pair of old slippers. You know, nice and comfy. I really enjoyed the first film. I thought it was a lot of fun. Like you said, it's kind of a breath of fresh air in the zombie film oeuvre. Kind of a Shaun of the Dead, you know, still a lot of fun, but just well done. And I don't think it improves upon the original. It felt to me more like add-on content for a video game. You know, when they kind of do that later stuff that releases. What do they call it? Not bonus content, but they do the
DLCs.
Yeah, that's what
content.
It is. It's Zombieland DLC is basically what this is. But it's a welcome new mission, right? Maybe the ending's a little too contrived and the whole film doesn't really feel cohesive at all. It's kind of more episodic, where we kind of go to vignette and then boom, it's like, oh wait, that's right, we got to end this thing, so let's get everybody together in this one location and have this big kind of blow up thing with a bunch of T-800s. and then everybody laughs and has a good time, and then freezes looking at the camera a la Naked Gun. Don't get me wrong. This is fun, right? I enjoyed this return to Zombieland. It had some great, I think, zombie kills, had some fun jokes, and I think overall it worked really well. So I thought it was a welcome return, but like I said, it felt like DLC to the original film.
Yeah, I think we're both saying the same thing. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's fun to watch. It's just, you're not going to get anything groundbreaking or new. Even, like, there's no kind of unexpected delight of seeing Bill Murray kind of just come strolling into this thing.
I was going to ask you if you stayed for that post-credits sequence.
I did. It was still clever. It was still well realized. I mean, the performances are good.
Yeah, I think the cast still has great chemistry. I enjoyed the introduction, mostly of Zoe Dutch, more so than Rosario Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
I maybe would have been all right with the Luke Wilson, Tom Middleditch thing. But again, and that was one of those kind of vignette, kind of almost felt like padding scenes for me.
Right.
To get this to like a feature-length movie. But still, I think our main cast, it still works. It still works.
I agree. It does.
All right, then. Listen,
sorry,
sorry,
you glitched a little bit, so I was kind of waiting for you to catch back up, and then all of a sudden I heard was it still works. That's all I heard. So
the miracles of modern technology.
Right.
Gotta love my 500 BPS, which is clearly not 500.
No, it's not. It's too bad, man. That's life in the big city for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're still on dial-up, right? Don't you like?
No, I mean I think we've established that my download speed is quite fast. So.
That's because there's probably like 10 people in your whole area. So there's
not
internet usage being taken up.
For the purposes of this show, it's not my fault this time. You used to say it was always my fault, and it's not my fault.
I'm comfortable saying it's your fault.
Okay,
so,
good.
Zombieland 2 or Zombieland Double Tap. Now, do you think they're going to make a third one? Would you be up for that?
No, I don't think it would be up for that. I mean, if they made one, let me rephrase that. I would go see it if they did a third one. But at the same time, I'm not like, man, they got to make another one. I can't wait for them to make another one kind of thing. If they don't, I'd be okay with it. And if they do, I'd go see it. But I'm not calling for it or anything like that. Let's face it. Woody Harrelson's aged a lot since the last one. So I don't even know how many more he's got in him. Yeah,
it's not doing as well, right? The first one was made for about $23.5 million and grossed 102.
Okay.
This one... Yeah, or it cost 42 to 48, it says, and they're only at 37.6.
Oh, that sucks.
So
everybody's still going to see Joker.
I guess the audience just unfortunately isn't there this time. That's disappointing.
It is disappointing.
And Maleficent actually won the weekend last weekend, so I believe it was Maleficent. I'm on the brand new redesigned Box Office Mojo, and I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Yeah, it was. Looks like it was number one. So there you go. Take that, Arthur. So what are you going to give the Zombielands? What's your return trip?
I'm going to give the zombies a solid B. Enjoyable, but not the best.
Fair enough. And of course, as always, we are radically divergent, and I gave it a B as well. So
it's going to happen. Once we get into more artsy fare, once we get down to the award season, we're going to start arguing about stuff. That always happens every year.
Lighthouse comes up next week, so we'll see how that goes. Mm-hmm. Though we're both Eggers fans, so
we are.
But we'll see how it goes. If you had a chance to see Zombieland Double Tap, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday. Well, first off, I'm just going to, before I play the clip, I want to say that the Double Vision Live Reloaded, the Foreigner Concerts film, is coming out October 25th, which reunites all the original band members that are still with us. Unfortunately, one of them is passed. But Lou Gramm and Dennis Elliott, on Ian McDonald, all on the stage with Mick Jones, and then whoever this new singer is. All I know is he's not Lou Gramm. No offense, Matt, there's no Foreigner without Lou Gramm. Understood?
Got it.
Good. So that's coming out. But there's some more important things. I just, as a Foreigner fan growing up, I felt I need to kind of announce that. But here, possibly one of the greatest film box sets of all time is being released this upcoming Tuesday, October 29th. Enjoy.
A prehistoric monster the Japanese call Godzilla has just walked out of Tokyo Bay. He's as tall as a 30-story building. Now he's making his way toward the city's main line of defense. 300,000 volts of electricity strung around the city is a barrier. A barrier against Godzilla.
That is one big-ass barrier. So coming up from Criterion, their 1,000th spine number 1,000, let's say it that way, Matt, is the Showa-era Godzilla films. All the Godzilla movies from 1954 to 1975. Includes Godzilla, Godzilla Raids Again, King Kong vs. Godzilla, including the U.S. release version, Mothra vs. Godzilla, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, Invasion of the Astro Monster, both a 94-minute and 86-minute cut, Son of Godzilla, Destroy All Monsters Attack, Godzilla vs. Hedorah, Godzilla vs. Gigan, Godzilla vs. Megalon, Godzilla... now I'm even tripping over Godzilla's name. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, and then Terror of Mechagodzilla. Comes with a gorgeous book with illustrated essays. There's an audio essay as well, audio commentaries, high definition digital transfers of all the films, brand new. This thing is a beast, Matt. I'm surprised how cheap it even is. It retails for $225, but it's on. You can buy it right now from Amazon for $165 for 15 movies, 17 cuts, 1,300 minutes of Godzilla. I think it's a bargain. And just you wait though. You wait for that Barnes & Noble Criterion 50% off sale. Now you're in sweet times right there, man. You're gonna get that thing for a steal.
You're gonna buy it, aren't you?
Oh hell yeah, I am.
Yeah, but here's the thing: even at the 50% off at Barnes Noble, they're gonna charge full retail price. It'll be 50% off of full retail.
Yeah, they'll probably have it for like $180. You know what? Let's look it up. But I am really excited about this set, and I'm so excited it's finally here. It's going to be, and that's to figure out what I'm going to do with my old copy, because I have the original Godzilla film. I bought it years ago.
So this is what's funny, guys. So this is what's funny to me about Chris. So he's talking about buying this really expensive. It's a good deal, but it's expensive little set here. What was the other one that you were talking to me about how you were going to pull the trigger or something?
Yeah, Monday, Amazon had a gold box deal on the Universal Monsters set.
Right.
For the day, but
right.
It's actually all week now. I guess they relisted it. $70, 30 films. Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Invisible Man, The Mummy, Phantom of the Opera, and then, what is it? The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Okay.
All of the movies in the series, every one of the sequels, the Spanish version of Dracula, right? All this great stuff. It was $70. I pulled the trigger and I bought it. And then a half an hour later, 20 minutes later, I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to watch those films. And I already own Dracula and Frankenstein.
Right.
So I'm like, so I canceled it.
Okay.
I know me. I'm not going to watch those movies.
Right.
So it didn't make sense. But the Godzilla movies, I'm much more inclined to watch.
Well, this is the point I'm trying to make, folks. So, Chris will, he's going to buy, and don't get me wrong, I'm a big Godzilla fan too, but he's talking about how much of a steal this is. But if some new streaming service comes out that costs $5 a month that you could buy for what he's spending on Godzilla, you could buy 2 years worth. I'll be like, that is outrageous. I can't do this.
Well, it's the physical media part of it, because that's the things with the streaming services. You never lock down how long something's going to be there. Right. That's the issue. Something could be you want to watch, or something it could be gone in in a month or two. That's the problem. In fact, it's one of the most embarrassing things that I haven't told anybody.
What's that?
Last Christmas. Well, before that, the last time they had the big Criterion sale at Barnes & Noble was November or whatever. As a Christmas present for myself, I bought the Criterion Bergman box set.
Right.
That plays. I remember. I have yet to open it.
This is... You have this vast, it's almost like you're keeping these archival things for the future generations, for when
here's
the great disc apocalypse happens, and you'll be like, I have it all, come to my museum.
And I'm fully aware of disc rot too. I understand that it exists. If you're not familiar with disc rot, you can Google it. But basically, the media on the discs will eventually disintegrate, and the discs won't play what's ever on them, whichever captured on them. But the thing with the Bergman set is I wanted to do like an opening unboxing thing for the YouTube channel. And I just always something else comes up and I've never done it.
Right.
I'd like to do the same with the Godzilla set when and if I ever get it. Then watch that never gets open for a year. So I don't know. It's an embarrassing thing. Yeah, I have that Bergman set that I have yet to open.
So you're gonna go ahead and buy another huge set.
Oh yeah. God, I love Godzilla. I watched all these movies, Matt, when I was growing up. Channel 56, Saturday morning. They would run Godzilla movies. I think 2 at a time, out of Boston. So that was my Saturday morning ritual. It was Saturday morning cartoons, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, right? DC Superpowers, and then on to Godzilla. And then later on, when I got a little older, it was USA Saturday Nightmares. That's where I saw like The Evil Dead and Hellraiser, I think, and some other stuff as a wee young lad. That started my affection for horror films. So anyway,
we had a long digression there.
Criterion is also releasing Matawan. It's the story about a labor union organizer who comes to an embattled mining community brutally and violently dominated and harassed by the mining company. It includes a 4K restoration supervised by director John Sayles, audio commentary featuring Sayles and his cinematographer Haskell Wexler, a new documentary in the making of the film, and more. Kundun is being released as well, Martin Scorsese's film about the Dalai Lama. You can pick that up on Blu-ray. Arrow is releasing a brand new version of American Werewolf in London. If you're not familiar with the classic horror film from John Landis, who is an ass, and his son, who is an even bigger ass. Ugh, God, just don't Google them. But this Arrow release features a brand new 2018 4K restoration of the film. And there are a ton, Matt, of new special features on this. Some ported over commentaries, outtakes, interviews. I mean, this thing is stocked up. Arrow delivers again and includes a limited 60-page booklet as well on the making of the film. One of the best horror remakes of the 80s is being released, and Scream Factory is giving a collector's edition of The Blob. Includes brand new audio commentary with director Chuck Russell, as well as a special effects artist, cinematographer. New audio commentary with actress Shawnee Smith. Matt, there's like a dozen new features on this Scream Factory set. If you haven't seen The Blob, man, the remake, that is the stuff nightmares are made of. The practical effects in that thing are so good. It is just a creepy, gory, scary little film.
That movie freaked me the hell out, especially at the spoiler guys. But when it eats the little kid and it's like slow death, I was like, that traumatized me. I was like, that doesn't happen in films,
right?
That doesn't happen.
I have the Twilight Time release, which I think he sells right now for like $30-$40. It's out of print. But man, this Scream Factory version looks really, really nice. Though I don't think it's a new transfer. It's the same transfer from my Twilight Time one. So I'd basically be paying for the special features.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Two Evil Eyes is being released as well. It's a brand new exclusive 4K restoration from the Uncensored Camera Negative. This is the mini anthology, the two short horror films, one by Romero, the other by Dario Argento, based on Edgar Allan Poe stories. The Facts in the Case of Mr. Voldemort, and then Argento covers The Black Cat. New audio commentaries and a bunch of new making-of featurettes and interviews as well in that one. Also comes with a soundtrack CD and a collectible booklet. Arrow is also releasing the Ringu collection. These are all the Japanese Ring films, including The Ring, Ring 2, Ringu Zero, which was the prequel, Ringu 2, and then the lost sequel, Raisin, Razan. There was a sequel that they made that didn't perform well, so they kind of ignored it and made a new sequel in its place. Okay. You can get all the films in this Arrow, includes a brand new 4K restoration of the original camera negative for the first film, and a bunch of other new stuff, including some deleted scenes. I thought about picking this up, too, because I've never seen the Japanese Ring. Actually, I think I've seen Ringu, the first one, but I haven't seen the others. And from what I understand, they're all really good-ish, except maybe for Rei-san. Vinegar Syndrome is doing its monthly thing where it releases all their movies on the same day. You'd think you'd want to space it out a little bit like Criterion does, like maybe do one a week, but maybe they're just counting on you to have your paycheck and blow it all at once. But they're releasing Berserker, Unmasked Part 25, Beyond the Door 3, and Amityville, The Cursed Collection, which is all of the sequels, like the 90s sequels. Well, I guess one's from 89. But all the kind of subpar straight-to-DVD ones. But new restorations of each one. So if you're a fan of any of these kind of classic cult films, Vinegar Syndrome includes a brand new restorations for all of them, as well as some new features, commentaries, and the like. Synapse is releasing Watch Me When I Kill. A pharmacist is murdered, and a woman who happens to see the culprit leave the scene. She soon finds herself being stalked by the killer, and when her boyfriend tries to discover who the murderer is and stop him, he begins to find out there's much more to the murder than the ordinary killing at first appeared to be. Includes a brand new 4K restoration from the original negative, a whole bunch of new features, 3 short films from the director Antonio Bito, a bonus CD soundtrack featuring the amazing film score by prog rockers Trans Europa Express, and more. Matt, your straight-to-DVD pick of the week, 10 Minutes Gone. A crime thriller that centers on a man whose memory has been lost due to a bank heist gone wrong. The character will need to piece together the missing 10 minutes from his memory in order to determine who sabotaged him. I like it says the character. Like they don't know what his name is. I'm going to do the write-up. But the best thing about it is, who stars in this is, if you look at the cover of it, it's hilarious because they look like brothers. Bruce Willis and Michael Chiklis. They both star in 10 Minutes Gone. Separated at birth. What should we be streaming this week, Matt?
So, in honor of the season, there's plenty of horror movies out there, but I want to recommend something that, at first glance, if you're not paying attention, may not really seem like a horror movie. It is the Haunted House in Space, not Alien, but Event Horizon. It's available on Hulu. It's basically about a human craft that goes to the edge of the universe and disappears, and it suddenly reappears, and it turns out it's been in some kind of hell dimension, and all kinds of crazy crap happens on the inside. Stars Lawrence Fishburne. It's a good, creepy little film. You should check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, Sam Neill, too. No, that is a good one. So as we've threatened in the past, we say go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review of the show, and we will read it on the air. Well, Matt, that has happened. Sensational Sean says, I recently discovered this podcast, and it's amazing. The hosts are great, and they give interesting reviews on the new films. I really enjoy discussions with the Blu-ray and DVD releases each week. There you go. And then he can't wait for the next episode. So, Sean, thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Check is in the mail. Matt, why don't we go ahead, take an extended break. Well, not that extended. Be about 40 seconds. Let's hear a clip from Creepshow Episode 2 featuring Bad Wolf Down and The Finger.
Hans. You foolish boy. How could my only son allow this? You have dishonored the Schmelzgerät name. But I will find these American dogs responsible for this. And they will suffer greatly.
The suffering will be legendary. That is a clip from Bad Wolf Down. That, of course, is the legendary Jeffrey Combs from the Reanimator series, a horror B-movie icon.
Mm-hmm.
So we have first up, Matt, part 1 of episode 2. A bunch of U.S. allied troops get stuck behind enemy lines, and they have to go hide out in what appears to be an old abandoned police station. And they come across a young woman who is locked up in a jail, in a cage, and turns out she's a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
So the Nazis are coming down. They're going to kill everybody in the police station there. And the troops make a deal with the devil to try and survive and exact even maybe a little bit of justice. Matt, what are your thoughts on Bad Wolf Down?
It's cheesy. It's hammy. It's cheap looking. So it's all the things you expected out of this. Werewolves are really hard to do. Whereas, the one, regardless of what you justifiably think about John Landis, is still probably the best werewolf movie. And that film works so well because you barely see the werewolf in it. But that is not the case here. I was okay with it. I didn't love it. I have a lower tolerance for things that are like cheesy and campy than I think my esteemed co-host does.
Yeah, I thought it had some dodgy special effects, especially the fact that they cheap out on the werewolf transformation.
Mm.
Which I get. That's probably be the most expensive effect, and if you only have a limited budget, you want to spread across the whole 6 episodes, I guess. But I thought the story was fun enough, and I always enjoy Jeffrey Combs when he pops up. Werewolves are probably low on the poll of my favorite movie monsters.
Okay.
So, and it was weird. They were like 3 different werewolf designs, right?
Yeah.
Two.
Yeah,
like
were.
one was like
weird.
Wolf Cop. One looked like a wolf from The Howling. Another one just kind of
was on all fours,
dog.
like Werewolf in London. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was okay. Like, I agree with you. I gave Bad Wolf Down a B-. I mean, it's got Nazis and werewolves, so you're immediately going to go up a little bit because of that. But still, anytime you see a Nazi getting his, I'm on board. But still, it was okay. Like you said, I felt kind of cheap at times too. Yeah,
I gave it a C+. I mean,
all right.
You know, it wasn't particularly suspenseful or anything, or left you guessing in any way. You knew exactly what was going to happen as soon as they walked into place. So
yeah, The Finger. DJ Qualls is a young man. He collects found items, right? Trash, whatever. He walks the street, finds cool stuff, takes it home. He finds a finger, Matt, and this finger starts to grow into a creature. And it seems to listen to him and obey his sort of commands. I don't think he doesn't outright say, you know, kill, like Rosebud, and then dog attacks and kills somebody now. He just listens and then does evil things, eats people, like a dog would bring home like a dead rat or whatever. This is what this little creature does. He brings hearts and stuff by people who have wronged DJ Qualls. Except maybe not at all. Because Qualls may be a fun narrator, he's an unreliable one.
Right.
I thought the thing had an interesting concept. I don't think the conclusion is as clever as it wants to be. And I go back and forth, like maybe they played it to be too much fun. That it was trying to be funnier, and then maybe if it was darker and scarier, which is, I guess, really not the whole Creepshow aesthetic anyway, it may have been more effective. I gave The Finger a C+.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed this one a little bit more than the first one, so I gave it a B-.
Look at that
but,
reversed.
Yeah, we did have it reversed. I think I was on board for probably 2/3 of this thing, and I was enjoying myself, but you're right. It wasn't really creepy, and then the twist kind of comes at the end, which didn't have the heft or the impact I think they were looking for. So it was okay. I thought it was more enjoyable than the first, obviously, but nothing to write home about.
There you go. But still, overall, the Creepshow, the first couple episodes, I think has been fun, and I've enjoyed this rebirth or this new version of Creepshow so far. So I'm looking forward to next week. Cool. Let's keep moving then. Coming up next is the 3rd film in our cart chase marathon. It's the 3rd film, right? I'm always a little nervous when you halfway through a marathon and maybe you've seen the best you're going to see. So let's spend a few minutes talking about The Duel, or just Duel.
Operator.
I'd like to report a truck driver that's been endangering my life.
In that case, I'll have to give you the police, sir.
Right, well, give me the police.
Sir, which department do you want?
Whichever's closer.
What number are you calling from?
This number is 9821.
What's your name, sir?
David Mann.
How do you spell that, please?
M-A-N-N, that's 2 N's. I'd like to report a truck driver that's been endangering my life.
What's your name again?
David Mann.
So, Matt, this is one of my big fears. You know, going down the road, driving on the highway, and you go to pass somebody, and maybe you accidentally cut them off. Not even. You just go around and you pass them, and they start honking their horn at you, and you're like, oh, and it's a big truck. Oh, God, no. Oh, it's something. They're going to come get me. Dennis Weaver plays David Mann. He is a middle-aged salesman. He's going on a business trip, Matt. He's driving through the Mojave Desert, and he goes and passes this big old tanker truck, right? And the truck he's not pleased with this development. Pulls on the horn, and then from there basically stalks Weaver. At first, you're kind of thinking like, well, all right, maybe he's just kind of ticked off. He's messing with it a little bit. But things get real dark real fast. This is the film, Matt, that basically launched Steven Spielberg's career. It's a TV movie is how it started. Now, we watched the larger theatrical release because they kind of added some scenes and then released it in the UK as a movie.
Oh, okay.
But this is originally a 74-minute TV movie, boosted up to about 90 minutes for a theatrical release. But does it... You know, I've always heard that it's really great, but I've never seen it. Did it live up to the hype for you? What are your thoughts on Duel?
Yeah, it was an interesting film. It was definitely a lot more enjoyable and riveting than the previous two films we watched. Much more straightforward. It has very little to no exposition or plot. It literally just kind of, which I appreciated, it doesn't have, it just kind of like has these little bits and pieces of things in the background. It really doesn't tell you what he does, really. It just shows him talking to his wife, gives you a little bit of insight into his character just on what they're saying. And that's it. It just kind of relies on you to kind of catch up and just be on board with this thing, which I appreciated. And the overall, chase, I mean, it was pretty thrilling. I mean, it was definitely Spielberg juvenilia for sure. And it was good. I had a good time watching this.
Yeah, you can see it all, the beginnings right here. I mean, this thing is expertly paced. It is riveting. It is scary. And what's fantastic about it, what Spielberg does, is that you never really see the driver of the truck, right? Mm-hmm. You see like an arm once for, like 30 seconds. You see his feet maybe a couple times.
Yeah.
But that's it. Because the tanker, the truck becomes its thing. It's the monster. By keeping the driver mostly hidden, we're dealing with this Peterbilt 281 tanker truck that is just relentlessly menacing force who's stalking Weaver in this long stretches of this highway. This thing is exceptionally well crafted. I mean, Matt, I was riveted watching this thing. The truck becomes like its own living, breathing monster, stalking Weaver, playing with him in his hopelessly small and fragile little Plymouth coupe, right? Yeah. And I love the little touches, too. Like, there's one scene where you see the truck, and I read this is interesting, that initially I guess they had all the rage, the trucks back then were the flat fronts, kind of like, this is going to be such a boomer, or not boomer, but a millennial, what am I? Generation Xer reference. Optimus Prime.
Yeah,
that
okay.
truck,
Yeah,
that's a lot of that was all the trucks back then. That's where that started, when that started. So he wanted the one that had the kind of the long nose with the lights, so it could actually almost look like a face too, right?
Right.
But other little touches, like all the license plates in the front of the truck, which maybe say like, well, maybe this guy's like a serial killer, and this is what he does, right? I mean, all these little things that just kind of play with your mind. There's some interesting ideas, maybe even about kind of performative masculinity in this thing, like what Weaver thinks is what he needs to do to kind of stand up, because even though he's rightfully terrified a lot through this thing. I just thought this was fantastic. This is easily the best film we've watched so far in this marathon. And being a, 40-year-old TV movie basically is, 48 years? No, it's not 40. It's 38 years, right? That's my math. Yeah, I'm bad at math. Either way, riveting television / cinema.
I think it is 48 years, right?
71. Yeah, it is, because I'm 44 is the rumor. So that'd be 40. God, I've you know what it is? I just didn't want to accept that it was that old.
It was hysterical. Inability to do math.
To confront my own mortality.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It was interesting. I was like, who is this guy? And I just got a kick out of the fact that it was McLeod, and that
you know Dennis Weaver?
Yeah, it immediately took me back to Mystery Science Theater. I think it's
Chief
McLeod. Yes.
Yes.
This is the first film that I just couldn't take my eyes off of it while I was watching it. So it'll be interesting to see if we can kind of maintain that pace, or if we fall off a cliff here.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens next week. So far, this marathon of yours has been interesting, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it has not been as successful as the karate movie, the martial arts movie.
Oh, no. Oh, heavens no. But The Getaway is supposed to be a classic as well. So
Yeah. Well, so are the first two, and we
well.
see what that got us.
So I'm giving Duel an A.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
Very good. Are you sure you're not? Are you grading that on a curve? Like, is that just because of that of what's come before in the middle of the thing, or do you really feel like it's an A film?
No, I think it is. I think it's what I do too. Is what I think is you, and I don't mean this as an insult, though. I'm happy that it can be considered that way. Is that I'm able to kind of place it in the time that it was, and the fact that this thing was a television movie initially. And it's so suspenseful and riveting, and it at no point really felt like a movie, from 1971 to me. I really feel like this could be released today. Yeah. Maybe update the Plymouth he's caught, right? And maybe he doesn't need to use a phone booth. But still, maybe his phone's dead. Whatever. It totally works. So no, I think if by placing myself in 71, even though it does work today, I don't need to justify it. I don't need to rationalize it. It's an A film. I don't want to hear it.
Okay. Well, you're gonna hear it because I gave it an A minus. I mean,
what are you giving me crap about? It's not like you said like a B minus.
It's an A. That's like the highest grade we got. I mean, you would say,
well, there's
Raiders of the Lost Ark is an A film, or unless and Jaws,
I would give it the rare. I would give both those films, I think, the rare A plus.
Oh, okay. So
Raiders.
Our grading score actually goes to an A plus.
Oh yeah, mine does.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we've had one.
We've never had one.
That's like instant classic.
Instant classic, huh?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, no, I didn't give Drive an A plus. I must have given an A. But I
Drive. Have you ever talked about this film? I don't know. Could you?
Oh, sure. I'm not allowed to talk about it. Sorry, damn it. No, I just can't include it in anything, right? Like lists and. Anyway, the film that shall not be named.
All right, fair enough. I gave it an A minus. It's still great. I think that's it's not like I'm going to say it's a C film or anything.
No, it's great.
Calm down.
If you've seen Duel, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Let us know your thoughts. What do you think about the A+ system? Do you have any A+ films? Maybe we should do that someday. That'd be a good top 5 or A+.
What are the A+ films? Oh, that'd be a tough one.
Yeah, especially limiting it just to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can do that for episode 500, which we are like basically staring down.
Okay.
We're 26 episodes away.
Wow, that is insane. That is insane.
That's sad. Wow. All right, let's move on. Let's spend a few minutes giving you some odds, folks. Get out your money, put it on the table. It's go time.
It's an instinct. A feeling. The Force brought us together. We're not alone. Good people will fight if we lead them.
People keep telling me they know me. No one does.
But I do.
Long have I waited. And now, you're coming together. Is your undoing.
What are you doing there, 3PO?
Taking one last look, sir. At my friends.
So that is part of the final trailer for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Matt, I'm assuming you've had a chance to see it.
Yeah, I have. Yes.
All right, good. So we had to work it in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things we can talk about with the trailer there, but let me give you your question, Matt. What are the odds that Rise of Skywalker is the Snickers bar of trilogy capers, meaning it truly satisfies?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Just because I think the original Star Wars is probably the closest we got to a trilogy that truly satisfies. Maybe I don't know if it can be pulled off the hat trick. I don't know if it can do it again. I really don't. I'm gonna give it a 50-50 shot. Sorry.
Ooh, way to go out on a limb.
I know, right?
Either it will or it won't. Good for you.
Fine. I give it a 51% chance.
Ooh, all right. I like to hear some conviction.
There you go.
I'm going 90, baby.
That is that satisfying? Wow.
90% that I want to walk out of there thinking, yep, that was it. That
was the one.
That was it.
That was
perfect way to end it. Everything came together. Except I am terrified about that 10%. Supposedly, now if you see the trailer, Kylo and Rey seem to be cooperating at least once or twice in that film.
Mm-hmm.
And the rumor is there's one scene where they're smashing Vader's helmet with
right.
those lightsabers.
Right.
Which I do not want. I think I've come out pretty clear that I want Ren to be bad. I don't really want a redemption arc for him, a la Anakin.
Yeah.
But since every film basically has been a reinterpretation of the original trilogy, that's how we refer to 4, 5, and 6, right? The original trilogy.
Yeah, right.
I'm terrified that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
But I have faith that they'll still make it work. Hence my 90% score. Do you have any thoughts or concerns about the trailer while we're into it?
Yeah, so I mean, I think to your point about them smashing, I think there's a piece of that in the trailer, and when you look at it, their feet are pointing at each other, and she's got another weapon in her hand, so it looks like they're actually fighting, and like they're deflected into it, and
maybe.
So that's that. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. You know what? I'm on board for this. I actually have a question about this, so I'll go ahead and ask it now. Okay. So with all of the divisive. The last film, Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi, really did a number on the fandom and how much it split the fandom and just kind of really revealed how toxic this fandom is.
Yeah.
Do you think that what are the odds that this film actually kind of heals some of that rift and it becomes, if not beloved, at least, respected?
I don't know. If you look at the poster, it has the majority of the characters in the cover of the poster, and a large majority are people of color, which I think has been an undercurrent of the criticism.
Right.
Especially like a Rose Tico. So I don't see Abrams backing away from that per se. Yeah. Though I think he'll bring in enough fan service to satisfy those people.
Sure.
So, will it heal the rift? I don't know. Maybe 51%? What do you think of that?
Ooh, going out on a limb.
No, I'll go, I'll say, I don't know. If I say 90% is going to satisfy, I got to have a high percentage response for that. I'll say 70% that it heals the rift.
Yeah, I'm going to say 60%. I mean, I don't know. It'll be like one of those, not to really beat the metaphor to death, but it'll heal the rift, but it'll leave a scar. I don't think it'll ever be quite the same. But what's interesting though is, for nerds of a certain age like us, we absolutely hated the prequel trilogy. I hate the prequel trilogy, and people who grew up with it, they absolutely adore it. They love it. And the people who are really ragging on this film, the loudest voices of dissent, are the ones who grew up with the prequels and the original trilogy, whereas we just kind of grew up with the original. And like my nephew, who's he's going to be turning 5, he absolutely adores these. Like Rey is his favorite character. So maybe it's just cyclical. Maybe it's just one more piece of the cycle. The kids that grow up when Star Wars episode 10 comes out, they're the ones that are going to be freaking out about how it ruined their childhood and just stepped all over the Abrams and Rian Johnson and everything else.
Could be. All right, Matt. I'm going to continue this special edition of What Are the Odds that is focused primarily on middle-aged cis white male cinematic properties. And I'm going to ask you, will Terminator Dark Fate get us back on track? Will it be the second best sequel in the franchise?
You know what? I'm actually feeling cautiously optimistic about this thing. The more I watch the trailer, I'm like, man, this thing, it could actually be good. It could actually be good. So I'm going to give it a 75% chance that this thing is okay.
Really? That's exactly what I had too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
All right.
adorable.
It is
and
adorable.
Predictable. 75% I gave it as well. Early reviews are pretty good. There are some voices out there saying it's a mess and it doesn't work. The Linda Hamilton is quite good. But the stuff that other stuff I'm hearing, though, it seems, I think maybe we're on the right track here. So I gave it a 75% as well. What do you got?
Okay. All right, so let's talk about your favorite topic. Let's keep the white middle-aged guy train rolling here. Because, you know, it's an underrepresented topic, especially on this show.
I'm assuming you're going to talk about Batman?
No, I'm not going to talk about
because my third one is Batman.
But it's adjacent. It's adjacent.
Okay.
So the support for the Snyder Cut is actually getting really loud. Even some of his critics who've seen it, who didn't really like it, they're actually pushing to have this thing released. Momoa has seen it. He really wants it to be released. So what are the odds that this thing actually builds up enough momentum and goodwill to actually have it released?
I think it's like a 90% chance that it will eventually come out. It may take 30 years, a la the Donner cut of Superman 2.
Okay.
But I think eventually it will. So I'm going to go 90%. Well, one thing I don't understand, I can't wrap my head around, is why they didn't finish it and then put it up on the DC Unlimited streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
You would get signups. You get a whole bunch of signups. I would sign up for it. Now, I don't know if I'd keep it, but I would sign up for it just to watch that.
Sure.
So that seems like a major missed opportunity. So we'll see. And the way streaming wars are coming and HBO's coming, right? Disney's about to launch. Peacock's coming, which we got to work on that name. But there's so much. There's going to be a glut. And the big thing is it's content. Content. Tent is what drives all this stuff. And if you want to make a splash and get some new subscribers, you'll get some with that Justice League Snyder Cut. And that is part of the HBO Plus or Max or whatever it is.
Okay.
Right? Because that's going to include the DC stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Apple TV is coming. I mean, Apple TV Plus, is that what it is? I don't know. Either way. So, yes, it's going to happen. What do you think?
All right. Yeah, I think I was thinking more near term. I'm going to give it a 70% chance it comes near term. I think if you put it on a timeline like that, of that far out, yeah, it'll show. It's almost a guarantee you'll see the light of day eventually. But
I
think
your near term? What's your time frame?
I would say within the next maybe 2 or 3 years.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that it would come out, be available. Although, man, we are really reaching critical mass on streaming services. I can't keep up.
Well, you know what's going to happen, I think.
What's that?
I think piracy is going to explode even more so. Because people want to watch 1 or 2 shows, and they're not going to want to pay $10 a month for 10 different services.
Right. Yeah, $10 a month each for 10 different services. I mean, right now, I have Netflix, I have Amazon Prime, I have Shudder, I have Hulu. I will end up getting Disney Plus with the Hulu package. So, I mean, but after that, I can't see myself really getting another one, anything else beyond that.
Well, if you get a new Apple device, from what I understand, you'll get Apple TV Plus for like a year.
Right.
They're throwing it in. I don't have Hulu. I have Netflix. I have AT&T now, or AT&T TV, I guess is what it's called.
Yeah.
That's my cable. It's all streaming.
Sure. Okay.
I would say Netflix, and I have the Criterion channel.
Right.
I think those are the ones that I subscribe to. I don't have Hulu.
You have Canopy available to you if you were...
My libraries don't participate.
Oh, they don't.
I tried to sign up. My local library. I guess your library has to participate in the service, and it does not.
That's interesting. That's interesting that Tampa doesn't. Does they participate in Hoopla? The other service that's basically the same.
I don't believe so. I think maybe they do, but they don't have a. I don't know. I ran into an issue with that too. I don't remember what it was, but that was also like a year ago. So who knows?
All right.
Good times.
Good times. Okay. Let's see. Is it my turn? No, your turn.
Well, no, I gave the Terminator. I did Rise. I'm on my third. What would you be on?
My third.
Okay. So, what are the odds that Robert Pattinson becomes the Batman. When people say, well, who's your Batman? Oh, it's Michael Keaton. Oh, it comes Christian Bale. What are the odds he becomes... Now, he'll be the Batman for a particular audience, right?
Sure.
Who's grown up when the film comes out. But what are the odds that he becomes the one where people say, who the definitive Batman is Robert Pattinson?
That's a good question. I've been really impressed with Robert Pattinson of late, so I feel if anybody can pull it off, I think it's him. I think there's probably a 75% chance that he becomes the Batman.
Wow, that's high.
Yeah, I mean, Keaton's not the Batman for me. Bale, kind of everything around him was better than he was as Batman himself, kind of thing. I never really bought him as Batman. And Affleck, Affleck. So yeah, I'm gonna say, I don't know. I'm gonna say 75% that this Rob P works it out well, or Pats.
That is really high. First off, let's not besmirch Ben Affleck. I think he was a fine Batman, and I think he suffers from the same thing Henry Cavill suffers from, where he didn't get a good movie to play Batman.
Right. Sure.
Just like Cavill has not got a good Superman film, unfortunately. So I gave it 40%. I'm actually not as confident as you. I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
But I just can't get over the hump because War for the Planet of the Apes, for me, I found underwhelming.
Okay.
The third film in that trilogy. Now, granted, Reeves only did the final two. And then what else did Matt Reeves do? What else do we know Matt Reeves for?
Wasn't he?
Is he Cloverfield?
I think he is Cloverfield.
Well, if we both think he is, then he must be, because both of us couldn't possibly be wrong. That's not how things work in this world.
That isn't.
All right. Yeah, Cloverfield. He did the Let Me In reinterpretation.
Okay.
And then Dawn and War of Apes. And then finally, he's in, right now, pre-production for The Batman.
All right. I think there's some divisive films there, but even the less of the film has their moments and their spin, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Good times.
Good times. All right. So my final one. So Gemini Man has done terribly. And a lot of his movies, even if they've done okay box office wise, critically they've really not done that great.
And you're speaking of Will Smith and not Anne Lee, I assume?
Yeah. So what are the odds that Will Smith is canceled? Is he done? I mean, I know Bad Boys is coming out next year, but man, that is one movie I'm completely underwhelmed to see.
We should pump the brakes on that term, because first off, being canceled isn't really a thing. But being canceled is particular to specific events, right? You only typically get canceled if you've done something horrible. So we'll say, there you go. I appreciate that. Maybe. What are the odds that his career has peaked? We'll put it that way. I almost said it myself. So here's where we've been, right? So Gemini Man, Aladdin, which I hear Aladdin is actually pretty good. Mrs. First Run absolutely loved it. So Bright, that Netflix movie, that is not good. Collateral Beauty, Suicide Squad, Concussion, Focus. He was in Annie? Oh, no, he was a producer. Winter's Tale, Anchorman 2, that doesn't really count. After Earth, Men in Black 3. Wow.
Yeah.
This is
underwhelming list.
So,
man,
you know what's funny?
Bad too.
I haven't seen any of the Bad Boys movies. They never appealed to me, so I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, me neither.
He has no good movies. Like, really good.
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, he's a fun guy. He's got charisma. If you listen to the last show, I talk about Gemini Man. But, no, I'm going to say no. So I'll say, is Will Smith, has his career peaked? I'll say, maybe if I put it that way, I'll have to say 60% yes.
Yeah, it has his career peaked. I would say, I think it's peaked and come and gone. So I would say 70%. But I would only give it like a 40% chance that he's going to stop making movies like I want him
to. No, yeah, he's still got probably a good 10 years to go.
Yeah.
I would think.
I don't understand the appeal.
Will's 51! I am old.
I don't understand the appeal. Really, I mean, let's be honest. The only reason that people like him so much is because he would release catchy hits to go along with his movies.
Yeah. Man, it still blows my mind because I used to listen to DJ Jazzy Jeff. And
the Fresh Prince.
I did. That was a big album for me. Parents just don't understand. I still can't believe he turned down The Matrix. Jeez, what a decision that was. To make Wild Wild West. I remember watching Wild Wild West, 1999 that came out. So I was 24. And I hated that movie. Even back then, I hated that. That movie made me angry. It was so bad. Well, that's too bad. Sorry, Will. I like you as a person.
I'm sure he's broken up about it.
I'm sure he is. Who knows? Maybe he'll take a dramatic turn. I mean, he did 6 Degrees of Separation, but he's mostly been in actioners and kind of maybe soapy kind of dramas. And like I said, I'm not a Bad Boys fan. I've never seen any of them. I have no juice in me to watch the next film. So, I don't know. Sorry, Will. All right, Matt. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. What are your thoughts? What are your odds to any of those thrilling scenarios? Next week, Robert Eggers, Willem Dafoe, and Robert Pattinson, who I believe masturbates to a mermaid, in The Lighthouse. I know Matt's really excited about that one. The movie. Maybe not so much some of the other stuff that happens, but we'll see. Did you eat? Who stole my beans? What's that from the trailer he says? Who ate my beans? Willem Dafoe?
I don't know. I'm just... Willem Dafoe is the world's weirdest treasure, and I can't wait to watch him. It's just odd, man.
Good times. So Lighthouse next week, and then, as we said, our Car Chase Marathon continues with The Getaway. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Do a search for The First Run. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Eventually you will find us. Go over Apple Podcasts and give us a review. As you heard today, I'll read it during the show, because I love you. Matt, why don't we go ahead then and take an extended break, and we will see you all soon.
Hey, will you look at Lumpy? He's sure grown, huh? I think his voice is changing. Come on, I'm just teasing. Well, look, I gotta go. Have a nice life day, but be careful. A lot of troopers in the area.